Hello, dear friends. We're in our weekly webinar. We have in the studio Dr. Michael Leitman, Michael Sanilevich, Semyon Vanikor. We're the International Academy of Kabbalah. We're continuing with our subject, spiritual principles and how to implement them. This is the third program. You can ask questions. From the questions we received, first of all, we want to speak about a principle that seems very earthly. What is a Kabbalistic principle, Rav? It's that a person is an egoist. Only his ego is working in him. The ego pushes us, first of all, so that we'll do everything for ourselves. And afterwards, that same ego, when it understands that the best way to implement itself, it pushes us to do for others. So it works out that there's none other than myself. Yes. You can say, if there's not me, then am I for others? Of course. To give for others, to be connected to them, to give to them, it's all connected to the ego. There's nothing new. I only have the method of implementing it, not for myself, but for others. And also, it's not for someone, but for the general system. When I start to understand that that same general system actually includes everything, and also I included, then my present and future are dependent on how I integrate myself in this system. It's not like our world, that we can say to people, come, let's live together, what means we're all in one ship together. But here, through learning the wisdom of Kabbalah, we find the method, the system of nature where we exist. That we exist in nature, it's in integral mutual relations, totally connected. Therefore, when I give the system, I am actually giving myself in the best possible, eternal, perfect way. And what I appear to be taking from myself that goes against the system, I start to see that that's how I'm damaging myself. And the ego is working for good and for bad. But at the beginning, if there's none other than me, that's the healthiest thing. A person has to know that he's going into profit. And the question is, how must he use his ego? So the wisdom is the wisdom of Kabbalah, to receive. In what way can I receive correctly? In the eternal, perfect way. Question, now we're going to complicate things. There's two more principles that continue this thought, if there's none other than myself. If I don't look after myself, then who will look after me? And if not now, then when? Rav. In such a case, so it turns out that I'm destroying myself. I'm becoming zero because I'm not participating in the system. I become the living level. That's it. So if not now, then when? Rav, this is something we need to decide at each and every moment. How do I create myself? It's not some study, philosophical principle. It has no connection to anything except the existence of the laws of nature, the solid laws of nature that we exist in. So the wisdom of Kabbalah doesn't want to hear about philosophy, mystics, etc. Show me according to nature how this works. And in this you will convince me. Question. So actually, I notice that I always have a choice for a Kabbalist. A Kabbalist always has a choice. If not now, then when, etc. Meaning, at each and every moment, we have a choice. Yes, that's what life is made of. It's not hard. It only depends on the support from the society. If the society supports this, then it's easy for me. I'm swimming in it with the flow. I don't have to invest any energy, but only if the people and myself and the people around me think the same way. Question. According to the subject, if there's none other than me, and they're talking about, is this point talking about my freedom of choice? Yes, of course. I don't remember where it's written, but I read it again with Rabash. I'll try to find it. Our next lesson, after this lesson that will be at 4, it will be with the same people that came to the Congress in the desert. And then maybe I'll have time between the 2 lessons to find these excerpts. A question from Kiev. How can we arrange these 2 approaches? There's none other beside him, and there's no one else except myself. It happens at the same time, together. It's one system that the Creator is operated according to a person's demand, and the person is operated by the Creator. So in this, we're partners. Just from 2 ends of creation. We're from below and the Creator from above. And between us, we have the system of connection between us, which is called the world. So if not now, then when? We have a question, Rav. That means that in each and every moment in time, I have to implement this choice. The freedom of choice is constant, every moment. If one moment you miss it, that's it. You missed it, you're not in freedom of choice, you didn't implement your freedom. Therefore, you have to... You need a very serious environment, very strong, that will hold each of us all the time at a spiritual level. And then it will be easy. We'll be happy to carry this out. It will be easy to breathe in this. And not that we'll always be stressed that it's such hard principles. The question is it the correct starting point, the freedom to choose at every point? Yes, of course. How else? If I don't make decisions that suit the general system, then my decision is wrong. There's a lot of questions, and it's interesting to verify them because we just came back from a very successful Congress in the desert. There were a few thousand people, and the question goes like this. The subject was how to reach a state of conception, Ibul. And the principle is, there's a principle that a embryo sees the whole world from beginning to end. The issue is that all the spiritual states already exist in the upper world, meaning in the attribute of bestowable. The embryo, for the embryo, the attribute of bestowal is very easy. It just cancels himself to the upper one. And the upper one can do whatever they want, just like in our world. That's how it's built. When a baby is born, so its development, when it begins its development, the development of the embryo is done without any resistance from him. The nature allows its development and its agreement, and the fact that it's developed from both sides, from the side of the mother and the side of the embryo. In spirituality, it's not like that. In the world of spirituality, we always have to agree to the fact that the upper one, meaning the Creator, through the group, through the womb, will always work on us and will always raise us more and more from a spiritual perspective, develop us. And therefore, we have our work here very serious on ourselves, along with the group and toward the Creator. And the main thing is that in these conditions is the annulment, self-annulment. Whatever happens from above, from the Creator, there's all kinds of influences on us, and we accept it as complete good. And those are the conditions we work under. That's what it means to be an embryo. Mushi, self-annulment. Does that mean, let's say the situation of the Creator is more important than mine, His attributes are more important than mine? Is that called annulling myself? Rav, yes. Yes, His attributes, His influence on me. Mushi, it all goes against my ego? Rav, of course. It has to be in resistance, otherwise we won't develop. Meaning, what happens? I put my ego, and I'm willing to get the Creator. I'm in a very serious effort that I'm trying not to resist, to take upon myself the form of the Creator, meaning the attribute of bestowal. So my ego starts to take on that form. It starts to shape, format, so that it will start to look like a giver, not a taker. This form of the giver that is more and more being made of me is being made by the influence of the upper light, the Creator. This is called the development of the embryo, Mushi. Can we say that in nature itself there's a plan that assumes that the creature at some point in its development will want to give birth to itself? Yes, of course. No, we don't need to give birth to ourselves. We just need to not resist to what the Creator is doing with us. That's a passive stage in our development. Mushi, all those 9 months of development, maybe let's clarify it now. All that exists in nature automatically. We do it subconsciously, this whole thing. It's all a result of the upper world, and we have to go through it consciously? Rav, yes, of course. Boris, you said that we would get a form inside a form. That's also a separate principle. Rav, inside the form of egoistic reception, the Creator makes the attribute of bestowal to make a form inside a form. Alexander asks, what are the 3 days of absorbing the sperm? Rav, the first day we went through with you, actually, it's somehow to annul ourselves against the influence of the Creator. The second day is the connection of the sperm to the side of the womb, the upper face. When we annul ourselves, not in ourselves, but in relation to the upper one somehow starts to reveal himself, and I start to annul myself. But the third day is when I and who reach balance, a mutual connection between us. So it's all happening in the corporal world. Yes, of course. Where does it exist in the corporal world, if not in spirituality? Mushi, 3 days is 3 lines. Rav, it's 3 lines. Mushi. So let's check further. What are those 40 days that it starts being made? It's not forming. Yes, it's forming. It's forming of the 40 days when the embryo, which is actually an egoistic desire, that starts accepting inside of him altruistic states right up to Bina, which is the attribute of bestowal. This distance is 40, Rav, yes, the distance of 40 days from the Dargat of Malchut to Bina. And then it really influences for the first time. Not that it annuls itself, but starts to give. Mushi, it's a new stage of development. Yes. Mushi, it's all about relations between people. Rav, it's implemented in a group between people. But now I don't think we need to clarify all these stages, because afterward we'll get confused with our current beginning state. Mushi, so just for general knowledge, 40 days of creating, afterwards there's 3 months, then there's 3-month trimester, and then there's another 3 months. This whole process happens according to the moon. Those are 3 series. So the first 3 months, Nehi, and then Chagat and Chabad. This is how the embryo, spiritual embryo, is developed. And at the same time, in our world, in the 9 moonly months, the embryo is developed. Mushi said it turns over somehow, and then the perspective of reality changes. Rav, after he develops completely, he's always developing in different stages of life, in different forms, light on the side in a certain way. And afterward, at the end of 9 months of development, he develops with the head downward, meaning he's prepared to receive everything that was most important for him, and the most least important is upward. So he goes into the tunnel of birth. There's very strong forces operating on him, and this is tons of pages in tasks that talk about the forces operating on him and the forces that he invests to open and push to the side the mother that doesn't want to let him go, and he wants to get out. There's a big struggle between 2 forces. At the end of the day, he comes out and begins to breathe and begins to get nutrition through our usual places, from the lungs, etc. And this is a point of development of the soul. When it begins to analyze how it's breathing and what it's getting nutrients from, nourished from, it's starting to receive from the upper one, from the mother, and from the Creator. And this implementation of this freedom of choice. Mushi, so to be an embryo and be born are 2 completely different situations. Rav, yes. Also, giving birth is very complicated. You bump into special doors, special spiritual forces. It's very interesting to learn it and see how nature from the spiritual world manages our body. Boris, we see in the corporal world there's parts, limbs born with certain functions, heart, the lungs. Is that the life of the group or it's in each person? Rav, I won't answer you about these questions. I said already, if you ask just out of curiosity about the embryo, I can tell you, but explaining these states, I can't explain. I have a plan of development, and I won't accelerate the stages. It's not correct. It's not just curiosity. It's the wrong way. Boris, these are the questions we received. That's the best questions from our students are best. What is a distance in spirituality? Rav, the distance in the spiritual world is measured by change of attributes. Senka, when we said it went through 40 stages, we're saying it united with the Bina stage? Yes, Mushi. His wisdom is greater than his acts. Rav, that's not good. Who has such a thing? That's your principle? Mushi? No, I don't know. That's what Kabbalists write. Rav, the Kabbalists say that it's not good when the brain, overcomes the acts. That means that, first of all, I need to act, to put my head down and receive the knowledge from the upper one. And then, along with those insights, I need to match them inside myself. I need to work with them in the group. When I work with them in the group, I begin to comprehend how and why all this exists, and then only then I begin to accept it as my thoughts, as a method. First of all, we need to do, because only our acts invite the upper light, and with this upper light we begin to understand. Regarding the embryo annuls itself to the upper one. How can I convince myself to agree with something I don't understand? You don't need to persuade yourself of anything. You need to study. You don't need to go against your desire in any manner. There's no force in spirituality. It's one of the most important principles. So you mean we need to approach this in a very healthy, serious way, the spiritual development, and not take anything blindly. Just the opposite. We need to do everything to implement everything in a practical manner. That's why it is written that whoever his wisdom is greater than his acts, then he's wrong. It's obligated to carry it out, to check everything in a practical way, to analyze, to check, and then accept it as laws. You said that there's no force, and we also spoke about this in the previous lesson. What does it mean there's no force in spirituality? There's a plan. The Creator is driving this plan. Rav, there's no force because no one is forcing you. You don't want to go forward in spirituality, then don't. Mushi, but there's the path of suffering. Rav, no one's telling you it'll be good, but no one's forcing you. Mushi, nobody's forcing me, that's called? Rav is like, nobody's forcing you. Stop working. Lie down at home. As long as you have a home, go to your couch, and that's it. The sufferings will come and take you off the couch. That's how the world is built. There's the plan of creation from the beginning to end. Whether you like it or not, you have to carry it out. It's working. The more that you are late in carrying it out, the worse off you'll be. The conditions are changing all the time. So no force in spirituality is not talking about that. Rav, it's talking about that until you did not understand that you have to carry out, you don't have to carry out. You have to build a group, take part with the friends properly, pull the upper light, participate so that with joy, you will go after attaining the upper world. Senka. There's a principle, a person exists where his thoughts are. Daria is asking, can a Kabbalist control his thoughts? Rav, of course. That's our work. We're always working with our thoughts and intentions and desires. And this is how we feel the system that we exist in, where all of humanity exists, each of us. The way we're connected to one another, like parts of nature. And there's also static parts from the plantation, vegetative, and this is how we feel the whole system. And around it is the upper light of the Creator. We start to understand what's the best thing for developing this system. So our acts become already not just ordinary, but very precisely directed to the proper development of the system to bring it to a place where it can optimally match itself to the light that's around it, each time in a more and more optimal manner to accelerate it. And in this way to reach a state that each time that in the system there's a new ego, that rises up from inside, from the shattering of the soul, then each time we go up to correct it immediately and advance it to matching the light around it. Then we'll be in complete rest. It's perfect homeostasis. Senka, so we can correct the direction of our thoughts? Rav, nobody's forcing you. We just have to see it, to understand our obligation in this, and then we'll do it joyfully. And we'll see how good we're bringing to ourselves and others. So there's no force in spirituality. This approach that until I don't reach there, I don't have to carry it out. But if I don't have strength to carry out, what should I do? If you know that you have to, but you don't have strength, you don't have a proper group that's giving you forces. So that's how it turns out. The environment that's operating on me, it also has to be at a spiritual degree to operate on me. Rav, above my environment, I can't go. Only if I really, really bend myself to the environment, like Rabbi Yossi Kusma. So ideally, the environment should be big and great. Mushi, there's a principle in the environment itself that each who's greater than his friend, each who is greater than his friend, that attained a greater spiritual degree, attained it because he overcame evil inclination, a greater evil inclination inside him. So anyone who's greater than the other, according to his ego, is greater than the other. But he succeeded in overcoming it. Mushi, I see with my friends that it's more difficult for them. Their ego is bigger. It's possible. Maybe yes, maybe no. Mushi, I see them as greater than me. Rav, if they're greater than you, then their ego is greater than you. So it turns out, I think it's easier for everyone and harder for me. Yes, but if you could see their destiny, you wouldn't want to exchange theirs with yours. Anyone who sees something wrong with another, yes, I can't see others except through a network or filter. So I never see another person. I just see my personal attributes that are being reflected back on me from him. You don't see anyone. You only see the reflection from them toward you. Everything happening in the world, it's all inside you. It's all you doing it. Semyon, lately everything looks really scary. So that means our ego is growing, burning everything. Look what's happening, the Islamic revolution. That's still not the worst to come. Mushi, what does it mean that I do it? Rav, it's happening in you. All these processes are happening in you, therefore they're happening in the world. If you were corrected, you wouldn't see all this in the world. Mushi, can it be proved somehow? Rav, rise up to this level and prove it to yourself. Mushi, is this how a Kabbalist feels? Rav, if you say that a person who's putting someone down is down himself, if you watch the news, for example, or something, you're watching your own bad attributes. Mushi, so I need to see what I did in the world? Yes. What you caused the world. Mushi, I never looked at it like that. Now I'll look at it like that. Senka, so what a person is attracted to see, you think it's because of that? No. It's not because of that. But truly, if to see the things correctly, then we see our own attributes. Mushi, then the world would be much better off if everyone Rav, so awaken them and things will be good. Boris, how can we live with so much baggage that everything that happens around me, I'm responsible? Rav, yes, that's what's written, that I'm responsible for everything. Mushi, a Kabbalist feels this in an emotional way? Yes. It's not simple. Gregory from Odessa, if I was corrected, then I wouldn't see all this in the world? Rav, yes, of course. You would see the world as the world at the end of correction. Senka. Old principles, do whatever you can. Why should we get rid of our ego if it's what the Creator created? The ego was created to show us how different we are from the Creator, and only for us to be equal to the Creator. Therefore, the ego is really required. It's necessary for it to always show us more and more how we're different, to show us to be in equivalence of form with the Creator. Senka, so we can't get rid of the ego? Yes, you can't get rid of the ego. You can only rise above it. And this is how it helps us. And it's a really good help. You don't need to hate it. You need to relate correctly to everything. Mushi, don't judge your friend until you're in his shoes. Rav, yes. A friend, you're only imagining that it's your friend because you see in him your negative attributes. If you couldn't see them, you would be corrected. If you still see bad attributes in the friends, Mushi, what does it mean that I'll be in his place? I can be in his place? Rav, don't judge your friend until you're in his shoes. It means that until you didn't reach adhesion of form with him and all your attributes, you didn't get that unity with him, you can't say that you even understand who he is. When you connect, there's nothing left. You and him are one. Mushi, is it possible to say to someone? Impossible. Because you don't see anyone, you only see yourself. Gregory from Odessa continues. It looks like each person is living in their own little world. There's no collective reality? Nope, there's only the Creator, and through him we begin to understand and recognize our common vessel, the connection and the revelation of him. Are we different and equal to the Creator? We're different from the Creator completely. And what? To be equal to him? No. We can't be equal. Equal to the Creator, we can only be in the attribute of bestowal. And this is called the end of correction, this state. We say similar, equal. Rav, it's the same thing. Another principle, interesting principle. Don't tell one another about feelings, things that we're going through, new attributes. Rav, we're all egoistic, so we shouldn't talk about personal attainments. Whatever we're studying, we're allowed to talk about. But what I personally feel, my personal attainments, we don't talk about. Mushi, you're always asking us to talk about how you felt. Rav, it's just general feelings and not personal experiences. What do you mean by personal? It's an important principle. When we're in a congress and I attain some personal things, it's better if I don't express them to the friends. Mushi. So when we hear a lesson, we gather and we ask what everyone feels. And what you do in a workshop is the same thing? That's what I'm asking. In the lesson, it's okay. But if in the evening I'll come up to Senka and say, I felt like this and this, is that not forbidden? Yes, it's forbidden. Another question. If I'm the Creator's partner, what are my obligations toward him and him toward me? If I'm the Creator's partner, then we as partners, each of us, to the extent that we're partners, and we're completely dependent on each other. It's very obligatory. It helps. You have a true friend. There's no feeling like this in the world. Like when a person starts to feel the Creator as his friend. That's such an achievement. There's nothing can take that. There's no worries, no... You can go through it, and together you'll get through anything. He won't cheat. It's a real friend, yes. Mushi, from the perspective of Tfisat Mitzvot, how will it catch on? No, we're talking about attaining the Creator. What's behind all my friends? My friend is like a subject. What he has inside is a Creator. I see each of the friends in this manner. Even the good and bad comes from the Creator. Why don't I see the friends, good and bad? If the Creator shows us good behavior and bad behavior, but if he's completely controlled by the Creator, why do I only see what's in me? Because that's what you're used to. You only see what's in front of you. You need to see revelation of the Creator in the whole world. I need to see as revelation of the Creator. How is it right to talk to them and relate to everyone and to see the power of nature and everything through myself? I don't see how it works on women. There's such spirituals in the wisdom of Kabbalah. First of all, make yourself a Rav, buy yourself a friend, judge the world in a good way. Rav, to justify, Moshe, can you explain this? Why you need to buy a friend and those three acts? Rav, no. It's just our approach of that same system that goes according to doing. And afterward, what's it called in Russian? And after you reverence the Creator, after you accept the Creator as a star that's leading you down the way, then you need to choose a group, and that's called buying yourself a group. You need to make much effort to have partners on the way. And then afterwards, when you're with a friend and the Creator's there, you begin to see the system that judges everyone in the best light. You judge everyone in the best light. That's the system.
А все в жизни продается и покупается.
What does it mean to buy and sell a friend? Your whole life, you can buy and sell friends. It's possible to buy anything. Just like we think in our world, Just like I think in our world, for a person to be my friend, I don't have to pressurize myself to show him how important he is, how much I'm willing to influence myself so we'll be together, how much I am prepared for every gift that has to be.
Вы не пытайтесь сделать из себя философов каких-то отреченных от земли. Вон сидят три друга.
Don't try to make yourselves philosophers who sit on the ground. Senka, no, it's great friends.
Очень хорошие. Да. Чего же он задает?
Great? I don't know.
Короче
Look
говоря,
at him. Why does he ask such a question?
имеется в виду нашими усилиями. Если мне нужен человек для того, чтобы достичь Творца, я должен.
If I need a person to attain the Creator, he's with us in the group.
Откуда вы, каждый из вас чувствует,
Why are you?
что вы действительно друзья? В чем?
How do you feel that you're truly friends?
Он тебе должен помочь, он тебе должен обязательно
Does he need to help you or
предъявить себя, что действительно он готов на все.
show himself that he's willing for anything, that you'll be close to him? This means to buy.
Купи себе друга. Сделай себе товарища. То есть ты должен
Make yourself a friend.
работать. Ты должен показать ему, что великая цель, она
You have to work with him. You have to show him that his big thing can only be attained through us. You have to
насколько ты готов на это.
show him how prepared you are for this.
Это купить и продать и обрести.
This is what it means to buy and sell and attain.
Эгоизм другого не понимает.
We're only working with the ego, and the ego knows nothing else.
Ты должен делать ему подарки.
Yes, through efforts, you have to give him presents.
Чтобы купить его, чтобы он чувствовал, что ты его действительно любишь, что ты
A
ему
gift is to buy him, that you'll feel that he really loves you,
Ну, конечно, это понятно.
that you'll really feel him. Yeah, why is it important? Because we sit together.
Второй распивал бы водку, а третий бы спал на диване. А так они, видишь, собрались и смотрят нас.
They gather together and look at them, yes?
Нет,
Senka, by the way, they also come to the morning, they also watch the morning lesson.
близки нам.
That's why I speak to them like this, because they're close to us. Boris, if it's possible,
Нет, если ты не покупаешь, то
how do we justify? It's your problem. If you don't know, you can't go forward. You have no.
Только в связи между вами ты можешь обнаружить Творца. Творец не раскрывается в человеке, он раскрывается в связи между людьми.
The Creator isn't revealed
То, что было раньше
in one person. It's revealed in the connection between people. It's happening above the ego.
как сэндвич. Внизу нет,
The
сверху любовь.
forces of connection gather like a sandwich above, and in this connection, the Creator is revealed. So, Senka, just the connection is destroyed, nothing else. Nobody has to do anything. You don't have to correct anything by yourself, only your relation to others. Mushi. So, to conclude, I have to see the attribute of bestowal as important, meaning the Creator as the attribute of bestowal has to be important to me. I have to buy a friend, and I have to check on their spirituality, and then I'll also have that spirituality, and then altogether we'll be able to justify what's happening in the world. Yes. It's 3 stages, and without the first or third, it's impossible. Rav, the world is the system of connections between us where the Creator is revealed. There's no force in spirituality to get forces from the group. Is the group a source of spiritual forces? Everything is together. The group toward me is actually revelation, an element of the Creator. Therefore, to the extent that I try to glue myself to the group, I'm gluing myself to the Creator. When I give to the group, I'm giving to myself. I was like a slave. I had to always give. In an automatic way, it means I was an angel. I was influencing all the time. And this is how I'm in freedom of choice. I don't see the Creator. He's hidden behind this world, and therefore the world is hidden. The world is actually concealed, that's disappeared, and therefore I have to work in this manner. So concealment is a good thing. Rav, of course it is. It gives us freedom of choice. Senka says, will it be revealed? We don't need it to be revealed. It doesn't work like that for people. The concealment is for our own good, so we'll be free. And only to the extent that I can remain free with revelation of the Creator, then it's revealed. You can imagine. What does it mean that the Creator is revealed and you have to remain free in relation to it? That you reveal this great force that controls everything in the future, present, your past, everything. And your next moment, you have to remain free without being dependent on Him. How is it possible? It's impossible, but we're doing it. I can describe to myself, I know some very rich people that the whole world knows, and I don't want... I'm hiding the fact that I know them. I'm hiding it from everyone. Can we describe it like that, the connection to the Creator? You don't have to hide it. I'm not using my knowing them for myself. I'm not using the fact that I know the Creator for myself, even though He's being revealed to me. That's called each person is faithful in his own home, in his whole house. I don't know, a friend, a slave. He believes you about everything, trusts you, and you have to create inside of you a screen so that you'll be able to do tzimtzum, not to receive anything from the Creator, and only work on bestowal. So it tries to be revealed to you, and I try to hide Him. Yes, but He only does it after He knows that you've learned how to hide it. Another question, he writes, in myself I don't need to correct anything, only my relation to others. My relation to others isn't inside me? Yes, but I can correct it. I have to relate to others like to the Creator, that the whole world, except me, will be filled with the attribute of love and bestowal. Then I'll be able to connect with this attribute. Mushi, there's another principle. I don't know, I'm sick with love. Rav, no, there is such a thing. It's not a principle, it's people just say it. That's what Malchut says in relation to Keter, the Creator. When it attains the attribute of Bina, on the way to the Creator, Malchut and Keter, it attains, first of all, the attribute of bestowal, that it attains. Then when it goes up to Keter, it acquires the attribute of love. Victor from Haifa. What does it mean that I need a person as a buffer between me and the Creator? Yes. So in his connection, I'll reveal the Creator. It's only revealed in the connection between people, and this connection has to be whole. One person is good, but still, you need to be in a group where there's dozens of people and only 10 people in the connection between them, you have to attain the Creator. And then you see it's not enough. We need more groups and circles outside your 10. And they also need to be somehow brought closer to you, because the expansion of the feeling of the Creator is only possible by getting close to the other souls, until each of us won't receive correction of all the souls in the world. So what's more important, the desire, or is the light creating the desire, or the opposite?
Он все делает,
No, only the light defines everything. It's last, it does everything. And the main thing we need to do is awaken him. If we awaken him properly, then he awakens and completes his functions perfectly.
в дельта между правильным возбуждением и нашим
The
неправильным.
gap between
Тогда на нас воздействуют
and corrects us.
вынуждающие силы, неприятные.
So there's forces operating on us that force us,
Конечно,
not pleasant.
абсолютно всегда.
Our awakening is by him,
Как?
always.
Окружающий свет — это свет, который нас окружает, и постепенно
Ormic is the light around us and slowly prepares us to go into us. We get energy, strength. Rav, the light is the Creator's desire. Mushi. What is inner light? Inner illumination. Rav, inner illumination is when I look inside myself and I discover in this a connection with the Creator through my inner attributes. Mushi, but I don't see them in me. I'm looking outside and I see them there? No. I'm looking inside myself. I'm looking inside myself and reveal everything inside myself. And it turns out that outside of me there's nothing. Everything is only inside me. Mushi, I understand afterward. If I look outward, then you can't call it inner illumination. Mushi, so I want to correct myself. I look at other people and see their flaws and understand that it's me. Yes, you need to understand that it's you. Mushi, then I start to comment. Rav, no, inner illumination is after a correction. That to the extent that there's pressure in the correct inner illumination, I see it like a mirror inside me, the Creator. That's why it's called a man similar to the Creator. Dome. Sergey from Peter, what is work in Kabbalah? Who's the boss and who's the employee? The work in Kabbalah, there's two sides. There's the work Avodat Hashem, what the Creator does, and he does it in man's time. He forces the man to invite the work properly. Mushi, again, the most interesting thing I heard today is that you look at others and you see flaws. That's the clearest thing. You see it every day. Anyone who puts others down is putting himself down. Mushi, how do I work with this? Just for work, I'm asking. I see. You can't work with it in any manner. How can I put it? You can't work with it at a certain point. You have to work on it on yourself in general, and then gradually you'll see how you relate to the world as the Creator's play. That He shows you how you're not ready to be similar to Him. So if I see a flaw in someone and start to work with it, no, you don't know what that flaw is. You don't understand where all this is coming from. No. From Telebisi. To work for yourself against others, if it's not for others, it's not bad. To work for yourself on others' account, that's bad. It's an animal thing. It's an ego that's not in conscious. So if I don't use other people, but I'm just enjoying myself, that's not bad. The head of our campus is asking, the students there are asking, is it better to make a mistake in the group rather than being right by myself? This is how you'll implement it. Don't go out to the group. Doesn't matter where you are, work or at home, doesn't matter. Always you'll feel that you are between your friends, and then you won't make a mistake. The problem is that a mistake that you make with the friends is actually for your benefit. By the way, that's a good idea. If we could get these principles from the sources, if each group received it, we need to take them out. Yes, they should send them. Maybe we should go to another kind of format or different questions. Rav, to make a long story short, you can turn to us. They know where. They know where to write to. I think they're ashamed to ask from you. Send us whatever you want to hear, questions, answers, formats for our meetings, all the subjects. And we'll see. We'll choose. We'll choose together what actually is best. That's what we'll do. So we're parting. Boris, there's tons of questions, but I want to invite anyone who wants to start studying. The winter semester 2018 is starting on our site. Come register. Now's the time. Question: if the good and bad come from the Creator and it already exists in life, the sky, the earth, how does the wisdom of Kabbalah teach us to balance all these things in our daily life? Rav, in our daily life, we simply have to not forget that I'm in a system, integral system, where everything's connected. And I have to be completely equal to this system, to be balanced in this system in such a way that the way I relate to it, I can be similar in the most maximum way to the Creator. Question: how do I raise myself to a higher revelation? Can the goal be the main thing awakening me? The goal isn't awakening me to action. The goal I have to take from the group, from the understanding of the group about the greatness of the Creator. The greatness of the Creator is the energy for advancement. Is modesty a Kabbalistic principle in relation to the upper force, the Creator? Rav, it's not the most important principle. You can say actually that the most important principle is minimizing the ego. I don't know how you say it. I don't know how you... It's usually something very unclear, hypocrisy that has to do with pride, etc., meaning externally shows himself. In the wisdom of Kabbalah, it's like a tzimtzum, like minimizing the ego. To that extent, you can be called modest. As a result of the Kabbalistic principles, are they righteous, the Kabbalists? They're also egoistic. Rav, the Kabbalists can be righteous. They have to attain such a degree that suits it, that's called righteous. But the issue is, it's all a war with the ego. It's all turning above the ego, managing it properly to be similar to the Creator. That it's really hated, our ego, meaning it's a great work. The Kabbalist is not a holy person, works on himself all the time, he's always doubting. It's a very creative process. But you begin to see the system that includes our world like a small point, just like a beginning point, and it's in the middle of all the worlds. And within it, from this point, we begin to rise up in our external circles. And then you begin to see attributes and revelations in yourself that already, when you're going out of that black central point that's called our world, From it, when you go out, you can already begin to feel all of creation, the whole system as perfect and eternal, meaning you are going out of the limits of time. And then you have a completely different calculation. You understand that if I'm eternal, infinite, then I'm outside the limits of time and completely change my perspective of life to the people around me. And this is the situation we need to reach, and then we'll truly begin to make the correct decisions. I wish you all this. Good luck, and we'll meet.